haven't checked, but if you still want to submit a picture of your meter or the shutoff valve and the furnace filter location, you can still do that. How about today? You've got till midnight tonight to do that, so to still get some marks. All right, homeowners insurance. Which one will be more expensive, homeowners insurance or tenant insurance? Anybody? Homeowners. Why homeowners? Yeah, you have to do the building and your stuff, right? So the reason I'm asking is because I will ask you that on an AC quiz, and some students aren't sure. So it's like, hey, it is more expensive. Protect homeowners, condominium owners, and tenants from fire, burglary, flood, and storm damage. Burglary is on the rise, right? They kick down your front door middle of the day. It happens more and more, right? So we're going to talk about that. Covers contents, the building, and potential liability, right? Liability is damage you cause others. So let's say your fence knocks over, a storm comes, knocks it over, and your neighbor's air conditioning unit gets damaged because it falls over to that, right? It could be a liability towards you, but it would be covered if you have homeowners insurance. House insurance is for people obviously owning a house or condominium. It covers the contents of the home and the building itself. This is very important. I was not, the bank said we will not give you a mortgage. We will not give you the money to buy the house until we have proof of insurance. They want to see a copy of that paper. So I have to go to my broker, get that done, come or email it to the bank or whatever. So make sure you know that. Okay. Factors that affect your insurance premium. These are all things that can bring it up or down, right? Location. How far are you from a fire hydrant? More importantly, how far are you from the fire hall? That determines how long it will take for them to arrive should there be a fire, right? The table will refer to 4 areas. There's Metro Winnipeg, right? We have 4 areas. Metro Winnipeg, area 2, 3, and 4. The crime area. Do you live in an area where there's lots of crime? They keep track of that, right? Is it more likely for somebody to break into your house? Is your area prone to storms? Like if you live in a tornado, this is in general, not just Winnipeg. Luckily, we don't have as many. But if you live in an area where there's a lot of tornadoes coming through, you will pay more. Maybe you won't even get approved. They won't even insure you. Are you in an area, are you close to the river? Is there flooding issues with your property, right? They will have that info. That will all drive it up. Type of coverage, standard or comprehensive. That will definitely, this one is always higher. This one costs more, right? Costs more. This one costs more. Make sure you know that. What's the main difference? Let's talk about that real quick. Just to simplify things, standard will only cover named cabin life, named perils, and comprehensive will do all perils. What are perils again? Is your stuff. So comprehensive will cover, you won't have to say ahead of time, oh, by the way, I have a coin collection and I have expensive cars, like a car collection, classic cars or whatever. Like comprehensive just is a blanket coverage, covers all. Value of home, obviously, I don't think that I need to tell you that, but the value of your home is probably one of the main drivers? Do you own $1 million home? Do you own a $300,000 home, right? It costs them a lot of money to rebuild it if it should be damaged. And it's based on today's prices, right? So they know that. Additional coverage. There are 3 types of water damage that you need protection for. There's overland flooding, groundwater flooding, and sewer backup. You don't want any of them, but sewer backup is the nastiest of them all. You literally get somebody else's poop in your basement. Let's just put it that way. Like, that's what happens, right? So all the sewer from the city gets pushed into your house. Hopefully that never happens, but you need these 3 checked off. I had to last year, I contacted my insurance provider and I didn't read it carefully enough. So I only had this one. I did not have these 2. So I had to pay extra for that. And I couldn't do it in the spring because they had so many claims, they just put a hold on any upgrades. So as soon as this came available, my broker emailed me and I added it to my policy. It drove my insurance up by like $200 a year, but it's okay. I'm willing to pay more. Your deductible, right? A higher deductible will lower your insurance premium. Remember that. A higher deductible lowers your insurance premium. I heard my landlord for the apartment building I used to live in, the deductible for the building was $20,000. Meaning that anything that small that breaks, they just took care of it themselves. They would only make a claim if it's like a major, like a fire, essentially, right? Something big. But the higher your deductible, the lower your premium. If you have a $200 deductible, let's go back here. If a window has been smashed due to a break and enter, and it costs you $500 to replace it, let's say you make a claim and you have a $200 deductible, essentially what happens is the insurance will take away your deductible from the amount and just pay out $300. Okay? If you have a $500 deductible and that $500 window breaks, you would get nothing back. So you shouldn't be making a claim. That's essentially their hope, that you will not make a claim unless it's absolutely necessary, if it's so expensive for you to pay. And I will tell you this, we always think, oh, insurance will cover it. It's a pain. It's a pain to deal with insurance, guys. It's a pain. Like, you'll be I told you that I know a family that had a fire. They have to meet with all these people. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna rebuild it? Are we gonna fix it? What stuff did you have? Where are you gonna live? Like, they pay for your hotel in the meantime, but it's a nightmare. So you don't really want to have to deal with insurance unless it's absolutely necessary. Next, discounts. Go to page 50. Discounts. You got to make sure you inquire about this. Hopefully your broker is on your side and wants to save you money, and they're going to ask you for this. But if you have a claim-free history, it's good for you. And that's why I want you to already have insurance when you rent, because it starts building your history. So by the time you have a house where insurance is like $1,200, $1,400, $1,500, you're going to get a discount for not having had any claims. Is it a smoke-free home? They will ask you that. Do you have an alarm system? Not only alarm system, is it monitored? Like, do you actually pay for a company to monitor it? You get, I'm fairly certain it's still the same. You get 10% off if you just have a system. If you have a keypad and a few motion sensors, you get 10% off. If you can prove that it's monitored, you get an additional 5% off, right? So total 15% off your insurance. And so my insurance, if it's $1,400, right, times 0.15, I'd be saving $210 a year, which is huge. So sometimes you paying for it being monitored will be covered by the discount, right? So it's kind of like a win-win. So consider that. Another thing, how to deter theft. That's huge because it's on the rise. You hear it in the news. I've seen it happen in my neighborhood. Did I tell you they stole my trailer from my front yard last summer? I had a camera and everything. I had a trail camera by the trees. They didn't care. Just, and I will never find that trailer again. It's gone. How can you deter theft? Somebody coming to your house and breaking in. What can you do to make them think twice? Because if they want to come in, they'll come in. Yeah. Okay, I like that one. Signs. So have like a triple A or something, right? Like have a sign or beware of dog. That's a good one. Beware of dog because they're opportunists. You know how in the movies like they plan it all, like Ocean's 11, they don't, right? They just kind of they check it out and they walk by. A lot of them go for runs or jogs. A lot of people just like, oh, okay, what's happening here? Because if you jog, you kind of look like you're just doing an exercise, right? And so they're getting pretty savvy, right? What else? So, monitoring company signs, beware of dogs. Yeah, smile, you're on camera. That's a good one. What else can you do? You can get a dog. Dogs are, yeah. Actual cameras, yes. And you know what? You can get decoys. Amazon has them. Fake cameras. They're so good that even police officers fall for it. So I know that my neighbor got broken into his car that was on the driveway. And the cops like, hey, I want your footage. Like maybe give us your footage. They're like, they're just decoys. And they're like, oh, well, they're pretty good. They didn't do the job, but decoys are like they're pretty good. Doorbell, right? Doorbell cameras. You can get a dog. Dog plus TV. Apparently, if you just have your TV going, especially at night, that flickering, then they're like, oh, somebody's home, right? And I also heard in the news, you know, nowadays when somebody rings the doorbell, you don't go to the doorbell, you kind of just try to see who it is. You should actually at least let somebody know that you're home. Like walk around or do something because they sometimes just do it to see if somebody's home. They ring the doorbell, nobody answers, then they might break in. So you should actually, this is police, the police department said this, so don't ignore the person. The building itself, obviously, right? The building itself. So how old is it? The age. The older your home, the fewer codes it meets. I don't know if you've ever heard it say nowadays houses have to meet a certain code. So there has to be like fire detectors everywhere. They build the houses so that there's a firewall between the garage and the house. So it's like a special wall that traps fire. Should it start in the garage, it will make it take longer to get into your house. Type of building. Is the garage attached or is it detached? It makes a big difference. What type of electrical wiring is there? Is it aluminum? This is bad. Sorry, I hate it. You probably might not even get insurance if it's aluminum wiring. It says BAB, but it's supposed to say bad. Okay. Aluminum. Anybody heard of knob and tube? Knob and tube wiring, really bad. That's like super old. They don't like that. So it's basically, you will see like behind walls, you'll see like little stubbies like that, and the wires just kind of hang like that freely. That's knob and tube. So you probably won't get insured for that. So knob and tube. And rewiring an entire house costs you thousands of dollars, just so you know, right? So if you're making a bid on it, make sure you bid low enough to have money to rewire the whole house, okay? Lots of talking, lots of talking. There's so much stuff you need to know. Okay, so let's go to this chart. This is the chart that you have on your pink booklet as well, but I'm going to write on this one. Don't write on this one, guys. I'm not going to check, but if you write on this one, you're going to be in trouble on the exam because you get a brand new one on the exam. You don't get to bring this one. So if you write on it and you're going to depend on what's written on there, you're going to be in trouble, right? So I'm going to highlight this part. It's a bit scarier, but it's nothing you can't handle. So from this orange section, you must pick one. You must pick one. I don't know if you can see that. You must pick one. Okay? You're gonna have to pick one value from that orange section. You're gonna have enough information to just narrow it down to one. And I should have made this smaller. This here is your overage again. So make sure that shows up, overage. The bottom, like the bottom here. Did I do a different color for it? No, I didn't. I'm just gonna do this. Okay, that is the amount you pay if you go over. Notice that your maximum here is 200,000, right? It's a house, so obviously it would be more. Almost every house is over 200,000 these days, so you're gonna, in reality, you'd probably go over every single time. What else can I say? This bottom part here, make sure you highlight that. That is still applicable. If you want a $200 deductible, you multiply anything by 1.10, anything you got previously. And if you want taxes on insurance would be PST only, 7%. So still the same thing applies, times 1.07. Doesn't change. So you'll see that the formula is identical, and I tried to, like, I made it that way so that one formula does it all, right? Okay, let's try this. Put it to the test. I have enough time to finish the lesson and for you to do some work. Trying to think of that joke. Hold on. Does that ring a bell if I write those three words? The joke? Anybody? So you were asked to write a sentence with these three words. And so the joke goes, when the cows jump over the fence, the feet go first, then goes the tail. I had to laugh so hard when I saw that. Anyways, one more thing. I know you're like, just give me the math. I just want to plug in the numbers and just get the numbers out. But this is one more thing. This is from the province. Couple of things I want to show you. Look at the whole chart. Look at where my fingers are. We're comparing standard versus comprehensive insurance. If you look carefully, comprehensive has a lot less NCs to it, which means no coverage, right? Comprehensive covers more, and there's lots of details there. And let me just give you a few here. Hail damage is covered by everything, right? Everything covers hail damage, no problem there. Did you know that your food freezer contents, right? They're covered by both standard and comprehensive. So, right, it could be a lot of money if you're let me see here. This one, this is gonna get you thinking here. Mysterious disappearance. You're not covered under standard. Apparently your building, if it were to mysteriously disappear, would not be covered either. But your any contents would be covered. Mysterious disappearance is like basically if something gets stolen from you. Listen though, if you're traveling, my cousin, he had a $2,000 camera. He was traveling. I think he was in France or something. They stole his camera. He claimed it under his house insurance. He had a $500 deductible, so he got $1,500 paid. So that's a mysterious disappearance, right? So under comprehensive, that's one of the main reasons I get comprehensive, in case somebody steals something from me. If they break into your car and they steal something expensive from your car, AutoPack will not cover the stuff you have, only the car, right? Your radio, like if you have something fancy, if it's built in permanently, yes, it's covered by AutoPack, but if it's just some kind of fancy equipment you have in there, they steal it, it's not covered, but it would be under your house insurance, so remember that, okay? Is there anything else? Oh yeah, sewer backup. Sewer backup. Watch this. It is covered, both the building and your stuff is covered under the comprehensive. Okay? That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Let's do some math here. By the way, this formula works for tenant and home insurance. Both work. Same formula. Copy paste. Okay? Here. Brent owns a home. That is important right now. Owns or rent? What is it? It's owns, right? In Winnipeg, Metro Winnipeg or Winnipeg is the same thing. He wants $175,000 worth of coverage, comprehensive, and a $200 deductible. All of those are keywords for us, right? What is the annual rate before and after tax? We want before and after tax. Okay, that's really to see if you understand the formula. So let's go ahead. Insurance, square bracket. We're not over, right? You can tell that I will make a note, no overage here. Okay, so that's a good one. Like you're not going to be over, so this is going to be a lot easier. So grab your chart. I don't know what you want to do first, but I'm going to go Winnipeg. Once comprehensive, right? So Winnipeg, then you go comprehensive, and then you just match it with 175,000, right? So 175 is here. I'm going to match that, and I get 668, right? So those two match. So you grab one value, that's it. You're not maxing out, right? So it's just 668. Perfect. I'm going to put a 0 for now, and then make an arrow saying I don't have to worry about that scary looking overage part. It's a 0. I want $200 deductible, and I'm gonna go times 1.07 because eventually I do want taxes, right? See how it just boils down to this, right? That scary looking formula is just this. 668 plus 0 is just 668 times 1.10 times 1.07. So now, normally I would just type it in, just get my number, but because it says before and after tax, I'm going to do this. 668 times 1.10, that's 734.80. So this is 734.80, and this is before tax. So at this point, you can say this is how much you would pay, right? Before taxes. We're going to go times 1.07, and you get 786.24. This is after tax. This is the one I would want to see, right? How much am I really paying at the end of the day? 786.24. No overage on this one. Let's do one more. And then you'll try a few, okay? You got to make sure you try a few today before you leave. Grab a highlighter. You own a house in Pine Falls, is within 8 miles of a fire hydrant, and you're thinking, what? This is what matters, area 3. You used to have to figure out what area it was based on this information, but thank goodness we don't have to anymore. So we always tell you where you live, okay? Area 3, you want $225,000 worth of insurance, standard, $500 deductible, before taxes. Okay, so what's happening here? You should recognize that I don't need to multiply by 1.10 and I don't need to multiply by 1.07. That's what that is telling you. So let's find out insurance. We are over. So overage, I take the 225,000. I subtract the maximum, right, for a house. This is the max coverage that shows up on my chart. That means that I have to pay for the extra 25,000. This is very important. I'm going to underline that. You need to buy extra insurance. That's all it's saying. So here we go. Insurance. Grab your chart. Area 3 standard. Area 3 standard. So I'm going to try to have the whole thing on here. Standard, and I'm going to max out. I know I'm maxing out. So I'm going to take the 726 and the 355, right? 726, 355. 726 plus 355, but make sure it stays over 1,000. You have to write it down like that. You're going to multiply this by 25,000, right? It's just like energy drinks, right? 355 for one energy drink. You're buying 25 energy drinks, you got to multiply, right? Like it's the same idea. Okay. I need one, that's why I'm saying energy drink. I don't know if this helps you or not. If it doesn't, then maybe don't write this down. But I'm just going to say I don't need that. I don't need this, and I don't need that either. No tax, No $200 deductible, right? I'm going to figure out what that other part is. $88.75. For the extra coverage you need, you pay $88.75. So you just basically add them up. Please don't do everything in one shot because it's going to bite you. There we go. Annual premium. No taxes. So if you wanted to add taxes, you would multiply by 1.07. If you wanted a $200 deductible, you multiply by 1.10. Okay, so Jill has essentially picked the cheapest option, right? When standard and when $500 deductible. So there's almost nothing else you can do. Please don't tell me, oh, she should find a cheaper home. You're already in the home, right? You want to insure it. So when I ask you things like what can you do to reduce it, that's the things you could say. She could get an alarm system, right? Things like that. Yes, that would help you reduce it as well, for sure. So everything is connected here. Everything that we talked about before comes with you here. Okay, so I'm going to send you to, ready for this? I have it written down here. Pages 54 to 56. Make sure you try at least 3 questions before you call it quits today. Okay, 3 questions. 54 to 56, because that's when homeowners insurance starts. And I will post the key so you can check it as well. Thank you, guys.